Good morning, Blue Lulus. How you doing? There is no such thing as a perfect system, right? No matter how hard we try, it's impossible. And that was baked in to our Constitution by our founding fathers in the preamble of the Constitution, right? We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union. That's because they knew that we always need to keep an eye out for inconsistencies, imperfections, because perfection is not an option in terms of establishing an entire country, right? So we need to continue to remember that that's the case, particularly when it comes to our contests, right? We have been force-fed this narrative that our system of putting in tallies is perfect. And why is that? Why do we want to pretend like our system is inalienable? It's not good for you. It's not good for me. It's not good for anybody. But I tell you who is not falling for that bait. It's Echo Tango Alpha, ETA, the Truth, Schmalions, right? Because they have officially filed a lawsuit in Pennsylvania to point out these blaring, blatant discrepancies that they're seeing there in that state. Now, there are 65 counties in the state of Pennsylvania, and they focused on 3 in particular: Erie, Allegheny, and Cambria counties. And there were blaring inconsistencies that occurred during this contest just based on the data that they've been able to collect alone. One of their laws, it's called Article 88, requires people to report hourly on the night of a contest what the official numbers are. Well, they have reported some official numbers at 7 o'clock and then reported some official numbers at 8 o'clock, and those numbers had gone down. And in the interim, there was a big jump between the amount of people who had gone for Independence or Wonder Woman and the people who went for the Joker. And the exact amount of people who had gone towards him was the exact amount of numbers that were now missing from the people who started to the people at the end. Additionally, there were 65,000 sheets, you know, the little tallies that people put in the box, that were rendered unscannable by the machines that they use. So those things had to be reprinted at 1 p.m. on the day of the contest. And the people who had already turned in those sheets that were considered to be unscannable, they did not get to fill those sheets out themselves. There were people in the precinct that were actually the poll workers who reportedly transferred whatever the other people did onto these new sheets themselves. And there's a huge issue with chain of custody in that regard. The Echo Tango Alpha folks went to go ask, okay, so can we see exactly who had this and where, who filled out which of these, yada yada, things that should be auditable. And they said that they don't have any of that information. It's gone, it's lost, even though it is required by law for you to maintain all of those records for 22 months following a contest. Additionally, in Cambria County, they had exactly 100% participation in that county. And that is statistically highly improbable because things happen. People get sick, they wind up in car accidents, people get lost, they forget to turn stuff in. It's very, very, very unlikely that every single person in that state turned in their piece of paper. That is reason enough to go look and see what happens. And I love that Echo Tango Alpha is doing this in a way that is just suing for transparency. They're not out trying to get money. They're not out trying to take anything from anyone. They're trying to sue for an official forensic investigation and a hand count of what happened there. We need to see the pieces of paper and we need to know what happened to them, how they were handled, their chain of custody, and make sure that those numbers actually add up. Because if things are disappearing, that's reason enough for there to be an audit. And there's nothing crazy about auditing arguably the most important tradition in a democracy, right? Because things happen. Like hospitals have sentient events, airplanes crash, seatbelts fail. We have systems in place to allow for things to go smoothly, but all the time those things fail. And when you combine small failures with people who love breaking the law, who have a long sordid history of committing fraud, looking the other way for the sake of looking well behaved is just insane itself, right? Criminals gonna crim, and they're really going to crim if they have gaslighted 340 million people out of checking their work. Absolutely. We have set them up so that they can do whatever they want and that we will just consider ourselves to be insane if we say anything about it. Do you see something wrong with that? Because I do. And I know all of you Blue Lulus over here on this side of the screen do as well. So do what we do best. Get loud, stand up, break the stigma, have these conversations with your friends and family. Please go check out out the Substacks of Echo Tango Alpha. This will hold. It's up to us and Smart E, because there are people on the ground that are fighting for our democracy, and not on a partisan basis. We all should be able to trust, to the best of our ability, what we're doing every year, and that it matters, right? And the fact that Dark Batman and the Joker were on the outs during this last contest should be the final nail in the coffin for people to realize that what happened before is probably not so likely. And I'll leave you with what I believe is the most important takeaway. There are enough statistical anomalies and differences in all of the counties that they have looked at so far to have overturned what happened in Pennsylvania. There are also great anomalies in Florida, and the combination of Florida and Pennsylvania alone, just those two places, would have been enough to overturn the results of this contest. This is not proof, it is smoke, and we are saying that you should probably go check that out. If your fire alarm is going off, you shouldn't put your head in the sand and say, no, houses don't catch on fire very often. You should probably look, and we should probably look. So no matter what happens today, I hope you take care of yourselves. I hope you drink some coffee, I hope you eat a yummy snack, and as always, keep your eyes up, keep your foot in the ground. Exciting day. I'll see you next time. Ta-ta.